Welcome, everybody, to the Realm Roundtable, a podcast about all things Realm Royale. I'm your host, the Monty Mole. This is my co-host, Comp TV Lee. And tonight we're joined by Baggins TV. Thanks for coming out tonight, dude.
Hey, no worries. It's good to be here. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well, man. I'm doing well. How about you, Lee? How you doing?
I mean, we're giddy. We're giddy.
I mean, I'm excited because, like, when you talk about Realm Royale, obviously you have like two founding patriarchs who stream for the Realm Royale channel every single day, and that's Baggins TV and that's Thor. So like we were like, when we started the podcast, we were like, oh, how cool would it be if we could get one of them to come on the podcast? So I just appreciate you. I know it's a little bit late out there in the UK. So what is it, like midnight right now? 1 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 12:15, but I mean, looking out the windows here, it's pretty bright actually. But
it's pretty.
That's some Hobbit magic.
It's pretty bright there in the Shire. Is that right?
Yeah, we had it's very bright here at midnight. It's in the Shire. It's we got that strange sort of thing. You know, it's like in Sweden where it's like really bright for half the year and then really dark for the other half of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweden and the Shire, we got the same thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm glad to have you on here just because like you obviously have been around the scene for a long time. You stream every day on Realm channel. You played in the 10Ks, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played in the 10K tournaments. I mean, you played this even before you played Realm Royale even before it was on Steam, right? You were in the closed beta?
Yes, I've been around for I'm very, very old in the Realm. Yeah, I played. It's probably been about a year now. I started playing Realm in closed alpha. In February, they announced it at HRX in like November of 2017, and then you could play it there. I wasn't there for that, but then they were like turning the servers on and off. It was like 2 days a week. You could like play their new battle royale that they were testing out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing since then.
Paladins BR?
Paladins, yeah.
Yeah, Paladins BR. Well, first of it was Paladins Battlegrounds, then it was Paladins Realm Royale, and then they just dropped the whole Paladins bit. Like, no more, no Paladins, just Realm Royale. So
cool.
Yeah.
So how'd you get like connected with that? Because obviously I know you have like a calling background and a BR background, but like how'd you even get plugged in with this? Did you just know some people and was like, hey, I'd want to get in on this, or did they invite a bunch of streamers, or like how'd that work?
It was so. My first instance of high res is like playing Smite. I played a lot of Smite in like I think I started in 2014 or 2015. A friend got me into it. She was like, hey, there's this new MOBA game. It's kind of like League of Legends, but it's in third person. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty, because I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of top down games. So I started playing Smite, and then fast forward a bit, they told me about Paladins, which again is another game like Paladins and Smite, both made by the same team. And then after that, I was sort of, that Battle Royale wave came in. You know, it started around 2016, 2017 with H1Z1 and the culling. And I learned again, it's like, oh, Hi-Rez are now making another game, and it's going to be a Battle Royale. And I was like, all right, well, you know, I enjoyed Smite, I enjoyed Paladins, I enjoyed Battle Royale. So I just, like, kept my, what's the word, like, ear to the ground? I don't know what the phrase is.
Yeah.
And you could get in through the Reddit, and I had to approach Oni Light, who was like doing Paladins at the time. I was like, hey, Oni, look, can you get me in? I got in like through that way. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you were literally probably the first Realm streamer I ever watched, because I remember watching one of the 10K tournaments and was like, I'm gonna check this out. And at the time, I had no game. I was just like trolling around Twitch looking for, or not Twitch, Steam, just playing random stuff. And was like, I don't have a main game. You know, I come from a World of Warcraft and League of Legends background. And then saw this game and I was like, oh, this is free. I should try this. I didn't have anything to play. And I think you were like the first Realm streamer I watched, which like Lee was talking about how I fanboy over Baggins and Thor a little bit. But it was like, because to me, like when I choose a game to get invested in and when I stream and when I choose a community to be a part of, like, the community is kind of set by the top streamers, you know, on Twitch. At least that's how I've always felt. Like if you go into a game, you know, you can see that the community, like the positive or the negative or the toxicity within that community is often set sometimes by the streamers. And I just always appreciated how you guys like had this very positive like environment surrounding the game, and I came in at a very volatile time in the game and just felt like a lot of the streamers, like, you know, you guys, Mouse, Gentle, like all these guys that were streaming the game were just very positive, you know, had a very set a good precedent within the Twitch community, which was just exciting and encouraging to see. And so I kind of gravitated to this game simply because of that. So I do appreciate, you know, your guys' content, and you know, you've been YouTubing this game for a while now too, right?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I could, I mean, back when I first started playing Realm, there was an NDA on it, so you couldn't make videos or you couldn't stream. But the second they released that NDA, we're actually moving house at that time, so I was like, no, I need to get a video out. But as soon as we got in, I put my computer in, just boxes everywhere, and I started like making a video on Realm Royale because like I need to share this game with people because it's freaking awesome. So yeah, the second I could, I started making videos on Realm Royale.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, tonight I kind of want to talk about some stuff. You know, on the podcast, we have like a loose outline over there, guys, on the side. And we do want to get some callers in tonight. We're hoping to get callers in. So if you guys have, you know, want to like chime in, you know, we'll bring you into Discord. You can ask a question there in the topic. Lee, if you want to go ahead and just share that channel in the chat, we'll bring you in, and you guys can, you know, share your hot take or share your opinions with us. We want to incorporate you guys in the chat as much as possible as well. So we'll do that later on in the show. So get in on that Discord and sit in the waiting room if we want to just check your mic, and we'll bring you on down in. So sit in the waiting room and ask your question there in the chat in Discord, and then we'll bring you on. So, but to get started tonight, like I really want to try and like with the content that we've done here in the show so far, you know, we've talked about esports, we've talked about how to get good at the game with the new influx of players. With Arrow, we talked about patch 14 and all the big changes that Hi-Rez was bringing in. And so I was trying to come up with content where it's like we're not just talking about like the latest thing that's happening in the game. I feel like a lot of people already know, like not everybody, but a lot of people there's a lot of content out there that just focuses on like, you know, patch and what the changes are happening in the game. So I wanted to talk some about like what's been going on within the community and where we came from, you know, within Realm Royale and where we are now. And obviously I think a big talking point and a big discussion is bots. You know, I don't know if you guys watched. Did you guys, Baggins, I remember seeing you there, right? You watched the patch 15 show they did that Hi-Rez put on.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, what were your initial thoughts? Like, how'd you feel about that?
I mean, I kind of knew that the patch 14 was really big, so I thought like patch 15 was not going to be too big. I was hoping that they would say something about bots or even just like give some sort of like nod to it. Oh man, I wrote down a bunch of stuff that like I was like, let's create like a bingo list of like things we want them to talk about, and it ended up like most of it didn't get talked about, which is a little bit unfortunate. But
yeah,
I think the second wave of patch notes that they came out with were a lot better. Like the balance in the first one was like just so weird, like with the Arbalest nerf and stuff. At least they tried to sort of remedy it the second time around with there's now going to be a buff to the damage on the Arbalest, and also Frost Staff and Longbow are also getting a nerf as well. It's much better around the second time around. So
yeah, I just remember watching that because I mean I was excited. Like so far 2019 has been a pretty good thing for Realm, but you know, to take us back a little bit, starting in I think it was like late October last year, which if you're new to Realm Royale, the game's clear, it's been out pretty much a year. It was released in June of 2018 on Steam, if I recall correctly. And so since then, it like blew up, and Hi-Rez kind of came out and was like, hey, we didn't expect it to blow up this much. It had 100,000 players. All the big streamers were trying it out. I think even like Dr. Disrespect tried it for 2 games. But like Shroud and Summit and everyone were playing it, and it, like everyone loved it. Like it was, you know, really big. And then like through some mistakes, maybe, if you want to say that, you know, the game lost a lot of its population, a lot of its player base, and Hi-Rez has essentially come out and said, you know, we just weren't expecting that amount, and we weren't prepared for that, and maybe some mistakes were made. If that's fair, I don't want to speak for them, but at least that's the general consensus that at least I got. Is that fair to say?
I would just interject in their defense. they were saying that they released the game and it blew up in a manner that, you know, wasn't necessarily what they expected, in the sense that the game was always meant to be a work in progress at that point in time.
Yeah.
And so they had to choose to prioritize making the game right instead of just pleasing people so early in the stages of development.
Yeah.
So just I got that feeling and I felt bad because I totally understood it, which I feel like a lot of people, maybe it's because Monty, you and I we work in an environment where we're developing and, we're iterating on things. So we have a little bit more sympathy. Whereas, your average Joe was just mad that the game that they started to like was, changing, and no one really likes change, let alone a change that drastic. So I'll get, props to High Res for making the decisions that they thought were best at the time.
Yeah.
Whether or not they regretted it is one thing, but
And I mean, from that point on, though, it was like we went from. I mean, I wasn't here. I came in at late July, but we went from a very highly popularized game to like literally almost no player base whatsoever.
mm-hmm.
And it shrunk down. I checked the Steam charts the other day, and it was like an all-time low of like 1,000 players just on Steam, and that was like late October, which was like pretty low substantially. So anyway, all that to just set the stage that it was like that's when we introduced bots into the game. That's when they introduced bots to help with queue times, right? So we found ourselves in this situation where it's like, okay, we need the queue times are insanely long. We either go back to one game mode where we don't have solos and duos and we just do squads. Like
Mm-hmm.
what do we do? What do we remedy this? And they introduce bots into the game. And so we've been playing with bots for the last like 4 months. So anyway, like that's kind of where we've been, and that's when bots were introduced. So I understand that solution, but now we're at a place where it's like, we have some player base, growing, and it seems like a lot of people are questioning whether or not bots is like a good thing to have in the game. Now, I mean, Baggins, I'm sure that you deal with this every single day on the Realm Royale channel, where you get the same questions. Like, God bless you, dude. Like, you get the same questions every single day. Like, I'm sure that's frustrating. But like, what is your general opinion on the bots being here and whether or not that's a viable solution and how it fits into gaming in general, especially like a BR where it's PvP?
I think they serve a purpose or served a purpose. I think at this point it's like I would like to see less like leaning on them. It got the game through like a pretty tough period where it was like you say, you had to choose between like turning off certain game modes, so you could only play like solo, or you could only play squads, or maybe solo and squads. And I mean, so many servers were taking down it. I think there was one point I remember poor Thor, like every day he would stream and he would queue to play in North America, but after like 2-3 minutes it was like, well, you're going back into Europe because there's nobody playing in North America.
I remember that.
So the bots allowed you to then play again on your own server, and they also brought back up Asia and Australia and Brazil, and also I think at the time where it's like the closed beta for Xbox and the initial like the first 5 days of the open beta release, it keeps the queues popping nice. Maybe it's a little bit deceiving, but a lot of the players go in and they play like their first 3 games and they're like, oh yeah, I'm owning all these guys. I'm like, this is a really fun game. And then they find out that they're playing against bots, but it's like, I don't know. I think it is a better way for them to go into the game, and it did help a lot of players get on board.
Yeah.
And enable these things. And I think now that we're seeing the numbers go back up again, like I think it was 10,000 players concurrent on Steam yesterday. And to my understanding, it's like much more than that on Xbox and PS4. I really do want them to like lean less on the bots now. But I do like I say, they did help serve the purpose, and they got the game through a pretty rough patch in terms of player numbers. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Lee?
No, I mean, I actually totally forgot about I came in during, and I think you did too, Monty, where we came in where the queue times were either taking really long, or there would be a split in the middle of the day where you'd go from between NA and EU servers, and it was super awkward. So I totally forgot about that because the new queuing system has just been so convenient.
Yeah.
But I also I come from a different perspective because I'm not, you and I are just average players, so we weren't as good as these pros. And so I was still learning. I didn't even know what peaking was. I'm used to run and gun games where, you know, the FPSs I'd play, you would just like stand out in the open and whoever could hit the other person first would inevitably win the fight.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, I loved the combat speed, and so the bots gave me a chance to kind of, you know, to realize like there was at one point where they just literally never missed,
Yeah.
and so I would have to get really good at like the simple mechanics. And so for me, from the perspective of a newer player, it was nice. But then the problem is at a certain point you start to realize, well, I'm gonna hit a hard like barrier and not be able to get better until I'm queuing up with a lot of really good players. And I felt like queue sniping, although it's a fun and cool thing for the community. I felt like people just, you know, what happens when no one else is you know, coordinating on the queue snipes and things like that. So I feel like, yeah, I definitely see how there's this rough patch, but even nowadays there's, you know, there's a lot more players, so we should ride that wave and find a way to adjust accordingly so that we can, I don't know, some people have suggested MMR systems and things like that, but
Yeah.
it's just, that's a lot to get into.
Yeah, I mean, it just is interesting because it was like, okay, late October, we just came from 6-man squads. Now they introduced 3 queue systems. We hit an all-time low player base, right? Like 1,000 players on Steam. They had not introduced it into open beta yet, okay? So like, or console release. So it wasn't quite out. I think console release was November. So we're sitting here without players, and we're like, I remember playing like Super Meat Boy and Q. Like everyone switched to marbles, you know, like
Yep.
everyone was just chilling, like trying to figure out something to do to interact with their chat in between games, you know? So I just remember like, what is this? And I remember the first time they introduced bots, it was like 100% bots. Like I remember there was like 2 people in my game, you know, they that patch. And I was like, I never won before, you know?
Exactly. I definitely queued at a time that no one else was awake just so I could win my first game, and I feel terrible about it.
But yeah, I just remember this like experience of queuing into bots, and I'm like, at first I thought it was ridiculous because it wasn't the game that I knew. There was such a drastic thing, and eventually they toned it down some and they found like a happy medium with the lobbies. But I legit remember like the lobbies were like for the first day or something, it was like 100% bots, like 95% bots, and there was like 3 or 4 real people in a match. So, and I don't know if that was a bug or servers restarting were slow or something. Like I don't know what that was about, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think now that we're at this place where we have console, open beta, and the return of PC, because the last couple of weeks, especially, I would say even 3 weeks ago, we saw a ton of hype building around. Some big streamers were like really big streamers were playing the game, coming back to the game, testing it out again. You know, like, so I don't know, like everybody's thing was positive, you know, and everything is still very positive, hitting 10K players this weekend. So, like, where do we go from here? Like, do you think bots serve a purpose in the game at all? Like, what do you guys think about that concept of, you know, onboarding new players with bots? Like, how do you guys envision that working? And do you think that's something people will even want?
Do a minute, I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Baggins.
I think you could keep it in a way like it's the same way it works in Paladins is like the first 5 levels, which I don't know what the equivalent for with the Realm, like maybe like the first 3 games. You have lobbies where there are bots in, and there can be other players, but the only other players can be people who are also in that category of like it's their first like 3 games as well. And outside of that, I think like maybe the way they want to approach it, or the way I would like to see it, because I know you can't just like suddenly shift it all. Like if you just like suddenly get rid of the bots, the queue times would change, and the economy of the game and just everything would be so much different. And I think servers like Australia would then just go back down again. You wouldn't be able to get a game on Australia most hours of the day. But if there was enough players online, like what it could do is like maybe look at your rank, or the amount of time that you play in the game, and then put you in a category with all these other people, and allow, because right now there's this like weird hard cap on the lobbies where you can't actually get more than 32 people in your lobbies, and it's 32 like and it's like it's almost like a 30-70 ratio, and I'd like to see it more goes to like 50-50, maybe even 60-40, where it's 60 humans, 40 bots. and the way it would do that is based on, you know, how skilled the game thinks you are, based on your playtime or your rank or whatever. So, but yeah, like keep the bots in there for the new players, and make it so those new players play predominantly against bots with a few other new players weaved in there. And then as you get more and more experienced, and you probably, you know, if you've spent like X amount of hours in the game, then you're probably wanting a bit more of a competitive experience. Then, you know, give those players less bots in their lobbies. That's how
Yeah.
I could see it working.
That's a great solution.
I mean, I would like that. I think, Lee, did you have any thoughts before I would jump in?
No, I was just thinking back before there was bots. You know, there was still a cap on the lobby, so you'd be in a game with like 30 people, and I found that fun.
Yeah.
Even though there was 0 bots. So I think that's a great solution. If the argument is to wrangle in the newer players and get them comfortable with the mechanics, you know, you could even argue that they could have an extended tutorial mode, you know, where you actually go into a game instead of just learn how to forge and shoot bots that are standing still.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the idea of maybe just locking, like as Baggins said, locking them in to their first maybe 5-ish games, 5 to 10 games, even if they really wanted to stretch it out. And then as time goes on, instead of putting a hard cap on real players, put a hard cap on the number of bots, and then just have the lobbies be maybe less than 100 players, because a lot of the times those bots end up killing themselves anyway, or fighting each other, or dying to zone. So it's like they don't really add any value.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great solution to have the best of both worlds, if the argument is that they want to attract the newer players. But I have seen people say, especially on Reddit and even in real life, that there is an experience to be had when other people who are playing don't realize they're playing against bots, and they just think that they're amazing at the game.
Yeah.
But my only counter argument is, part of how I would get over games is when I felt like I had like a really good grasp of the game, and I felt like there wasn't much improvement to do. So I feel like there's also the challenge of why can I not win a game? And like when you finally win your first game, it's like the best feeling ever. So like if you get that instantly and you never have to like fight to get that, you could also argue that that might be a deterrent, where it feels too easy, you know?
Yeah.
But
it's tricky because we're at this weird dynamic in the game right now where it's like we have Xbox, we have obviously PS4 are on their own servers, but crossing fingers for crossplay for that. Come on, Sony. But you know, like we're at this weird thing where it's like we have 32 player lobby caps, and sometimes lobbies feel very easy. At least for me on a PC, it's like lobbies feel very easy at times. And then there are other times, even the other day, whenever Xbox servers were off, I mean, I hate to say it, but the lobbies felt harder, like because I was playing against strictly PC players. And that's I'm not trying to diss on Xbox players. It just happens to be that the lobbies felt harder because I was encountering more PC players in my lobby. So, you know, that's not supposed to be a diss on Xbox players, but just overall, it was like there was more third partying. You know, it was a very felt like a difficult lobby, which totally changes the thing in the game. And so now we're kind of dealt with this thing where, so high res, like, what do? Do you like yank out the safety net that was bots that made people like helped new people win games? Like they're kind of in this tricky place where it's like I don't think you want to do that because it totally changes the feel of the game for some people that, you know, they're a new player, they've already tasted victory a couple times, and now all of a sudden they can't even get out of the top 50 or 40 players, you know, like so we're sort of at this weird pass where we have like, you know, they have to appeal to all these the different player base. They have new players coming in that need to learn the game. They've got plebs like you and me, comp, who have spent a couple hundred hours in the game but aren't like, you know, god tier yet. And then they've got the hardcore gamers that are literally like, bring me an esport. I need to make a living, like that kind of stuff, you know?
Right.
Right. So like, how do you guys see it approaching it? I mean, Baggins, I like that your theory of the 60-40. I think slowly trickling it down so like we are adjusted more to the lobbies might be a better solution than just like yanking that safety net away, right? Yeah.
I mean, you could also, I mean, for the truly, you know, crazy, insane guys, are the people that like just get so frustrated about bots. I guess you could give them like I don't think it's too far away. Like the idea of having custom lobbies, and custom lobbies wouldn't have any bots in, to my understanding. So, and then allow people to just like scrim or whatever they want through those if that's the way that they enjoy. If they just detest the idea of even seeing a bot, it just makes them feel sick. Then give those guys the custom lobbies, so they can just play against each other in a really competitive environment.
Yeah, because the game's in a good state right now. Like the game feels fun. Like I think the game's probably in one of the best states it's been in a while. That's opinion, but I don't know. And we're getting positive feedback from a lot of people that have returned to the game that hadn't played since its first release. People saying the game feels fun, the game's in a good state. They just need to remove bots. So. I don't know. That's just been my take on it. Is it's like bots are a tool that high-res can use, but it shouldn't be a crux for players because maybe if you opted into it, that could be another solution. I know League of Legends has an AI mode where you can opt into playing versus bots in League of Legends, to help you learn a new champion, to help you learn the mechanics. You don't get experience or whatever from that, but it helps you get acquainted to the game, so that could be another good resource for people. So
you mean the only game mode I ever played for like a solid year?
Is that right?
I was like, I keep losing, let's win some games.
I'm challenger against bots.
Exactly. Number one bot killer.
Yeah. So I don't know, there's been, the only reason that I really wanted to talk about this tonight specifically is because there has been such a cry for remove bots, and I kind of just wanted to take a step back and be like, okay, do we really want bots completely out of Realm Royale? Because there are servers with like Australia and Oceanic servers or whatever that they need that fill. Because the player base hasn't grown in those areas quite yet. But then there's also, people that are crying, maybe they set a time cap on it and they say, we're going to have lobbies queue up to 3 minutes. And then if that hits that 3-minute mark, we fill the rest of the lobby with bots. Maybe that's a solution too. I don't know.
Oof.
So, and I may be wrong, but the toggle for crossplay isn't working right now, right?
No, it is now. Yeah.
Is
they
it?
Fixed it, so, yeah,
okay.
Xbox players can turn it off and on if they want to.
Yeah.
I think by default it is set to on, which is maybe a little bit cheeky, but yeah. So unless an Xbox player is aware of it, they will end up in a PC lobby. But
it's like a privacy sharing box that's just automatically checked.
Yeah.
You have to know to go and uncheck it. I don't want to cross too many thoughts here, because I feel like we kind of touching on multiple anyway, because a lot of these thoughts are married together. But
yeah,
we're also in a really awkward time where Apex has taken the world by storm, and so there's this new dynamic where it's I've heard people kind of comparing the gameplay where it's oh look, you kind of have a class, but I feel like there's also now these awkward situation where how do they remain. I think Realm is its own game, to jump straight to my own personal conclusion. And so I think that's its main benefit, is that I think the ability usage and the fact that it's a third person shooter keeps it very competitive. And so I feel like it's also tough though, to see just how quickly that game has gained momentum and how some of those hardcore players, as we've been talking about, have kind of jumped there. And so especially when you see a lot of the big streamers playing a certain game, some of those people some of the people who might have just started playing Realm might be also pulled to go and play the newer game. So, as new as Realm kind of is in reality, it's also been around a bit. And so, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that. It's almost like the elephant in the room. It's there's this other game now, and it's super awkward because it's been super extra amazingly popular.
Yeah.
Shroud is literally playing it right now.
I mean,
that kind of popular.
And there's this thing where it's a lot of people were like, we need bots because we have console players, which, first of all, I think that's a little insulting to console players. But also, I think there's this element of this idea of at least it's been communicated. I don't know, I haven't felt this way, but I felt like there's this element of we need bots, to help people get a couple kills to feel like they're doing something in a game, and then they'll face real players later on. I don't think that's has it worked? Yes, for a time, right? But I think it's now at a point where it's when you want to pick up a BR, which is a PvP style game, or at least it has been up until this point, the PvP style genre. You're not like I had a buddy come over from Destiny, and he played the game, and he was like, I really enjoyed the game. The game's great, but then I found out that I was playing against bots, and all of my kills felt cheap. So like to him, it was like, if I'm going to play this game that's a PvP style genre, and we're going to bring people in over from PUBG, we're going to bring people in over from Blackout or Fortnite or whatever, like they expect it to be like that genre where you're playing against people, So I don't know, like I think that reasoning that it's like all of a sudden we need bots to help new players, I don't necessarily agree that it's a retention method. I agree that it's a tool to help people learn the game, but not that it's going to actually help people continue to play because they're bad, like that they're not good and they're never going to win. Like, so I don't know, like I think solutions for that are, like you said, like slowly lessening bots. I think an MMR system would be sick. Like I would love to play this game with some sort of MMR system, and no BR game to this point has done that. Whether or not we have the player base for it, that's kind of another question,
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, like similar to the custom lobbies option too. Like, all right, you're a hardcore player, obviously Hi-Rez has the option to do custom lobbies, and I think some of it does have to do with they want to deal with the stability and stuff behind that. But also, if I were Hi-Rez, I'd be like, that's the last thing I'd want to release, because then some of the core players are going to just do custom lobbies, and then there's even less people playing in the player base. But I mean, all that considered, we kind of do have a hardcore player here, Mr. Baggins himself, and I'm kind of curious, Baggins. You talked about how hardcore players get frustrated with bots and etc. like that. And obviously, you work with Hi-Rez, there's that, or Heroic Leap, I should say. And so you have that relationship there. But what is your like personal opinion on, like, how do you think, other than the suggestion you just mentioned, is there anything else you think is to be talked about, especially on the topic of whether or not it's bots, but player retention and, things like that? I know that's kind of a big question, but
I mean, I don't know. I think like what you could like immediately. So when the game went into open beta, like the first weekend, they had 120,000 players across like all platforms. I think especially for something like PS4. On PS4, they only have 2 servers right now. They have Europe and North America. So I think you could just like immediately switch the bots off there and just have the players play against each other, and that would like be self-sufficient in itself, and you can keep those players around. You don't need bots to keep those players around, but you do need like regular content updates, which is I think that's what they're aiming for. They said like once every 2 to 3 weeks they're going to try and get out new patches. I think in the long-term goal, it's like you don't want to be like you guys keep mentioning it, you don't want to have bots be the crux of everything. It's you want the game to carry itself rather than this AI that they have implemented to fix a problem that it was occurring, 2-3 months ago or something.
Yeah.
I just think, the secret is like getting the game into a good spot, which I think they honestly, like the most recent patch notes, I think it is really good. The balance is pretty solid. Like there's still some pretty crazy things, but there's crazy things across each class. So it's like it's balanced in the sense that each class can be unbalanced. The biggest problem is just there's a lot of bugs right now for PS4 and Xbox specifically. People can't invite friends, or the game crashes when you open a chest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you need to fix those pretty big game breaking bugs, and then after that just get regular content out and just have faith in the game to carry itself rather than these bots.
Yeah.
Great points.
Yeah, we were talking about MMR system, and I saw some comments in chat. I wanted to just address one thing: is we're talking about player base and like this idea of an MMR system and us not having enough players. It's true if you take an MMR system from like something like League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm or however they did that, with a lobby that needs 60 plus people in it. The player base, the wait times could be difficult, but that's only if you do a traditional MMR system, because MMR can be on a spectrum, right? So you have like, say you take the top 60 people that queue and put them in one lobby, and then the other 60 people that are below their average MMR in another lobby. Okay, so like that's still an MMR system, but it doesn't require like divisions like League of Legends where it's like you're bronze, you're silver, you're gold. No, it would be like, since this is a BR, you're going to take the top 60 people that are queuing at one time and put them together versus the bottom 60 people that are queuing and put them in a lobby together. So the wait times wouldn't necessarily have to be super long. Like when we say MMR, we just mean matchmaking rating. So based on your number of wins, based on hours played, based on whatever, they're going to take the top 60 people. I think wins maybe makes sense, but I understand. I like the idea of like having bots be in a certain like lower MMR. So it's like, oh, like my MMR is low enough, I'm queuing it, or maybe you're queuing at like 4 a.m. or something. Like chances of you having bots in your lobby may be higher because there's only 50 people queuing at that time, so they fill the rest of the lobby with bots. But like that's at least one option maybe that could work when we talk about MMR. Without having to need a gigantic player base. It's just if you queue at the same time as somebody else, they're going to take the people with the most wins and put them in a lobby, and then the other people would go in a different lobby, if that makes any sense. So just to kind of throw some ideas out there. Now I don't know if that'll work or not, but that's kind of what I was thinking. So I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that would work? I'm just like spitballing here, but
I feel like the dev behind that would be kind of like, to have a basic queue system versus having like a priority queue system based on ranking and a lot of like just having that many moving parts.
Yeah, man,
just the idea of trying to bug fix something like that sounds so scary to me. But I mean, if we're talking ideals and the importance of the longevity of a game, it would definitely be worth, whatever they decide, however dev intensive it would be, it'd be worth the effort.
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding is just like, look what's already out there and like, how are they doing it? To my understanding, and I might be wrong, but I think both, some other popular Battle Royale games out there right now, I mean, Apex Legends and Fortnite, I don't know if either of those have MMR systems. I don't think they do, or if they do, they're very, very basic. So I honestly don't think that Realm needs to go down this road of like, matchmaking and making sure, but they kind of already have, because they went with this, bronze, gold, silver, platinum, diamond master thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what their plan is for that going forward. I think it was kind of like an idea that came in very early on, and they were going to have grandmasters and stuff, and now it's kind of just sat there, and everybody is like, everybody who's been playing for a while is probably at master now, because it's just getting 50 wins is something that will eventually happen.
It's a grind, right? It's not like an achievement. Yeah, it's just a grind.
So I don't know. They either need to hard reset it and then decide if they are going to go down that MMR route, which is something that many other Battle Royales have actually tried so far, or they can just say like, hey, there was a thing and it's gone now. I don't know. And maybe there's some other sort of incentive, like as the more you play. I think you could really come at it from it's stealing some of Thor's ideas, but more like with the mastery system. Like if you have wins with a particular class, then you can get like like if you get 50 wins with mage or whatever, you can get a golden cape, or 50 wins with warrior, you get like golden shoulder pads. I mean, I don't know how it would work with the different skins and stuff, and then it's not really just an MMR thing, but it's more of just like a feeling some, like, I mean, the actual grind, but with a reward other than just a little portrait in the main menu.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. The competitive person in me, like, kind of gets excited when I think about I mean, it does though, like logging in and being like, every time I play a game, I know I'm going to play against caliber players that are at an equal skill level to me. Like that kind of like makes me excited. Now I'm not great, but I feel for those people like, Mouse, like yourself, Baggins, who have resorted to like solo versus squads, or have resorted to like no weapon challenges, to be like, in order to make this game fun for me, it's so easy right now that I have to do no weapons, like so yeah. I don't know, like if I'm talking ideal, like let's say like it blows up, Apex like just falls off or something, the hype dies for whatever reason, everyone migrates back to Realm, we like hit 200,000 people or whatever. Like, let's just talk ideal here, okay? Like, what would you guys prefer to see in place? Like, if there was no limit and you could just dream away, like, what's the ideal scenario here for this BR? Would you still go with the same thing?
I mean, personally, I would like to I would just keep it as it is. And I think I don't know, you like the likelihood. I mean, if we're assuming that there's no bots, then I think because right now it's like you're one of 32 people, so the
Mm.
chances that one of those other 32 people is also going to be, the like when we're talking about the top of the top, it's like the top 1% of the player base, the
Yeah, yeah,
grandmasters or whatever. The likelihood that there's going to be another top 1% in your lobby without MMR is not very high. But if you have 100 players in the lobby, then that 1% becomes, it's 3 times more likely. So I
yeah,
think you will still get some difficult matches. You'll still, good players will still probably win consistently. But I think from a streaming perspective, people like to see that. I don't know. I like the idea that, and if I wanted to play a really difficult match, I could play in a tournament or I could scrim or something. But if I just
yeah.
want to, keep doing what I do and make cool montage videos of me doing 360 no scopes, then I can just play in public games and yeah, because I think that's
Hey.
why like Ninja and everything he blew up because I mean he is a good player, but he was like
Mhm.
most of the times the games he's playing and he's just trapping somebody in a box and then putting traps around them. You would never do that in a tournament, but
Yeah,
in
yeah.
public games you're allowed to do that sort of goofiness, and I think people enjoy watching that. So
Makes
I
good
wouldn't want
content.
every game to be like super hardcore, sweaty grind fest. It's just
Yeah,
I don't know. That's not really battle royales for me, but
It's a
yeah.
great point. Great
That
point.
is a good point. You sold me on that one, dude. Because then you get smurfing. Like, what if people start smurfing? Like, you know what I
yeah, that
mean?
would just it would cause problems because it's like it's smurfing as well in a battle royale. It's like once you're dead, that's it. You're dead. Like
Yeah.
you go back to the main menu. Well, unless there's revive in squads, but
Mm. But yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'm ready to move on from bots and MMR and stuff. I mean, do you guys have any other talking points before we dig into patch 15 and high res in 2019? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with bots? Like, I think we're all in agreement that at least bots served a purpose for a time, and now they need to start slowly removing them from the game. If I interpreted that correctly.
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
pretty
just say
much.
that.
And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
to tweak whatever the heck it is that bots do with shotguns, because for some reason when you get a bot with a shotgun, it's terrifying, man. I could be playing solo versus squads and take out like 4 people, and then I go around the corner and there's this bot with a shotgun, with a gray shotgun, and I just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Give them back the
Super
bolt
insane.
staff.
Yes. Bring back gray bolt staff for the bots. Bots only get gray bolt staff, okay?
Oh, man.
Although they didn't miss with that thing either. Like, if you got close to a bot with a gray bolt staff, sometimes that was terrifying.
Yeah, I would just add. I think, yeah, I really agreed with Baggins in the sense that I think that having bots scale back as you progress in the game,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be huge. And in an ideal situation where you have the player base, we would have, our queue times to be short because there's so many people queuing, which actually has been the case. But obviously, the player cap has made it just so that there's more lobbies instead of more real people in a lobby. I feel like that would be ideal where you scale it back as you get better at the game. And then the biggest thing, honestly, in my opinion, is being very consistent with those updates, with the patching, with content. Give me a reason to grind. Give me a reason to, with this new class system where you have to grind it out. At first, I was kind of annoyed, but then it actually became fun. Like, oh, I can't wait till I can forge my bow on my hunter, like every single forge. So like more skins, more mounts, and I think achievements would be a really cool system. Have a slot in the UI where you can check back, and maybe you get achievements in game for like I don't know, killing 2 chickens within a 10-second window, or something like that, where you get a new chicken skin for that, or having content that you can unlock by playing the game other than just playing through games and unlocking XP. That's the obvious one. But like random, like your whole squad gets through a whole game without dying like 10 times and you unlock a new skin or something, I don't know, or a new title under your name. Just
Uh,
simple stuff like that. So
yeah.
content basically is what I'm saying.
Achievements. You're talking about achievements, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well, achievements and content, content that is based on those achievements as well. So it's
yeah.
not just a tag; it's got to be something that you can pay off in game, like a
Like,
custom chicken skin or something.
like if you get 2,000 wins in the game, you get a skin in your honor.
Yeah,
Like that kind of
either a
thing?
skin or a mount. Mounts would be sick. Like, imagine WoW, like when you got Grandmaster, you can get sick mounts. Like,
Are you talking about a Baggins mount comp?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Wait, what? People are gonna ride around on me.
Oh my goodness.
I think so this is something that Thor proposed earlier, and it's like his. I mean, I won't spoil it now. I don't want to cause any bias with anybody, but like a good question for you guys and for the chat. If you're going to imagine right now, they say like, okay, guys, we can remove bots tomorrow. We're going to get rid of the bots because we think we have enough players, but we think we have enough players if we remove one of the queues. So you have to get rid of solo, duo, or squads, and then because you have to split people 3 ways. So if you're only splitting them 2 ways, we think there's enough to get rid of bots. Which one do you choose to get rid of?
Oh,
that's
so
tough.
Same time, Monty. 1, 2, 3.
Squads.
or do you like having those 3 gamers that so much that you would just say like, oh well, we'll keep the bots then?
Oh man, that's so hard. That's a really hard one because I know Thor wants to get rid of duos. I've heard him say it on his stream, and that would be so tough for me. I mean, I used to love squads though. When we did 6-man squads, I loved squads, but it was because it was exciting. Like you would run into people, and now you don't run into enough people. Like playing squads is difficult because it's difficult to find real teams. So you run around killing random bots running around or individual people that get lost or something and their teams abandon them. And then you run into a real team and you die instantly. And so there wasn't like a level of like excitement that I had prior to the bots being introduced. So I don't know, like that's so hard. So for now, duos is really fun for me because it's easy for me to just message somebody and be like, hey, you want to play? And grab an extra person as opposed to having to find 3 extra people. So I don't know, like that's a really hard question. Like I like the game modes they have. I just wish that, and I feel like there's enough players. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure where we're at right now. If there's actually 120,000 console players and 10,000 PC players, that's like 130,000 people playing the game. Peak, massive, like. Ultimate peak, maybe ultimate low would be like what, like half of that. I don't know. I wish we had some more statistics to go off of to like base our judgment on that. But I hear what you're saying though for sure.
Yeah, I wonder what the statistics are in game modes. That's actually a really good point.
I don't know.
Push the lowest trafficked game mode and just get rid of it for the sake of, because like for instance, I actually would agree with Thor. I think. People are mentioning in the chat too, to bring the chat up. Well, why don't they make squads a 3-man squad and just get rid of duos? So
I think that'd be
a meeting in the middle.
I think that'd be interesting because then you have to choose which classes to take. Like even in a competitive mode, I think that's more interesting because you have more layers. It's like, do we take warrior, mage, assassin? Like
good point.
Like as opposed to just being like, oh, we have 4 classes, we have to take one of each. But like
three assassins with venom pistol, easy.
Yeah. so you have to like choose like, oh, like. For competitive, for esports potential, I think that's more interesting to me because you have to make a decision there. Like a strategy. There's strategy involved in that. But yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Baggins?
Yeah, Baggins, we want to know what you think.
I mean, with it being on the Realm stream team and stuff, do get a lot of behind the scenes news, but I can't say, but like the game mode that is the least popular is surprising, and I mean, again, that's all I could say really. I'm not gonna say anything.
You're gonna drop that little sneak on us, huh?
If they were to go and remove the game mode that was the least popular, I think people would still be upset.
Yeah.
Very upset. I don't know. I would be upset. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's
okay.
What you're saying is you know something, but you don't know something.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is we need to bring back 6-man squads and just get rid of everything.
Yeah, just get rid of everything else and also take away classes as well.
Yeah, take out classes. Bring back engineer. Yeah. Let's just have like fire venom pistol versus engineer like patch and see which one's stronger, So with toxicology and just give pincushion engineer,
And like the first version of venom pistol when it came back as well. The
one without
after the nerfs, but yeah.
After the 20% damage nerf, we want to buff it 20%. Can you imagine? I'm blown away. I just can't imagine.
It got nerfed by 5% and then 5% and then 10% was it after that? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it's been nerfed quite a few times.
Mm-hmm. It's insane.
So overall, if you went back to how it was and then added toxicology as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all argue though that Arbalest needs at least one more nerf.
Yeah. Oh, for
Before
sure.
anything else is done, we need to reduce the reload time by at least another second.
Yeah. Speaking of Arbalest and Nerf, let's move on here. I don't want to like keep Baggins too much. I know it's getting late for you, dude.
Yeah, it's getting late. We should probably
Yeah. So I want to keep moving here. Patch 15, the good and the bad, and then high res 2019, and then we'll all give our takes on things that grow the player base. So essentially, patch 15, like the good and the bad. What do you guys think? Like patch 14 was huge. They introduced talents, which was massive. That was a massive shift to the game. And now that we've played it for a while, there was clearly some balancing things that needed to happen. How do you guys feel about patch 15? Was it like an ultimate win, ultimate fail? What do you guys like? What do you not like?
I think everything on paper, in theory, is really good, and probably on PC, I don't really have anything to complain about. The permanent withdrawal thing was kind of pretty ridiculous, but they fixed that pretty fast, thankfully. But yeah, I think balance-wise, it's actually the game is in a really good state. I still think that Mage and Hunter are the strongest, but I mean, they did get nerfed. The catapults are like everything that they added in that patch didn't make the game worse. Like it at least either kept the game the same or made it better. Could they still improve upon it? Absolutely, but yeah, I mean the catapults, I think they're really fun. They don't really do that much, and I kind of wish you could get more than one person in them at a time, and maybe have some sort of like power meter so you can decide how far you want to fling yourself. The LMG is, it's like, it doesn't make the game worse, but it doesn't necessarily make the game better either. It's just like another fluff weapon like the assault rifle and stuff. It's pretty fun if you just want to like shout really loudly and just hold down left mouse button and be like, ah!
It's the meme weapon.
Yeah.
The light meme gun.
And then, like I say, the balance changes. One thing that I am actually really happy about is they put it, like, they basically just, I mean, pun maybe not intended, but they put a bullet in no scopes. It's like it's really hard to no scope people now, which is a relief because I was so sick of just assassins like flying up to me like boom, and then they swap to another weapon and then I'm just dead. Like it was so cheesy. Like because the sniper rifle is like in the same way the axe is like effective up close and it's really powerful up close, and then from a range it's like it's every now and again it'll hit. Whereas the sniper rifle, I feel like it should be an effective like mid to long range weapon. Like if you scope in and you hit somebody on a hill like 300 meters away, that's awesome. You should hit them for like over 1,000 damage. But if you just like point blank next to somebody, should you still hit them for 1,000 damage? It's like I don't know. But now it's really hard to do that. So yeah, I'm glad that's one of the Baggins takeaway from patch 15.
Yeah. What about you, Comp?
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree 100% with pretty much everything you said. The only thing is I did main assassin, and it's really hard to hit a no scope now. Like, it's not impossible, but you can't be as lazy about it. I guess if you have really good, like, I don't know, luck / timing / you're close enough to the enemy, I would have definitely preferred something more along the lines of, oh, I'm close range, let's just reduce the damage significantly by my no scope so that I
mean that would be like the like in my opinion the better way to go about it is like when you're scoped in you deal maximum damage, and then when you're unscoped it's like less. I don't know,
like half or something.
Yeah, half or maybe 40% less or something. So you can still open with a decent chunk of damage, because assassin kind of doesn't really have a lot going for him right now. Although I will say I do actually really like hidden right now, because they so you can aim down sights with hidden, which I never thought I would catch myself saying. But yeah, you can aim down sights in hidden finally now. You could
awesome.
never do that. So
yeah,
finally fixed hidden.
Yeah, well, it's actually it kind of feels like it's better than Blink, because Blink just is like, oh, it makes me feel sick every time I use it. It's like, oh, you just lurch forward, like, ugh.
It's like that feeling you get right before you drop off a roller coaster. You're like, am I gonna go now? No, not yet. No, not yet. Okay, now I'm gonna go.
The stomach is still like back there over there, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've been saying I love Gold Blink because at least when you barely get to move, you get to do it again sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
At least I'll just blip a little bit sooner than.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just felt like exactly like as an assassin, a person who mained assassin for most of my a little bit slightly more competitive games, I felt like he was just super tedious. I basically, without no scoping, I probably relied a bit too much on it, and I'm actually appreciating the fact that I have to scope in more but also just not being able to panic no scope for at least some damage just makes it feel like it's just not even it has very low utility up close. So I feel like it definitely, like you were saying, it should just do a lot less damage, but it should be able to at least do something so that in a panic I can at least swap to my other weapon having done at least a little bit of damage, so I'm not just sitting there like, oh, they don't even know I'm here, and it's like, no, I'm clicking on you but it's not hitting you. But
Yeah.
anyway, I've seen people know I've no scoped maybe like 20% of the time now, as opposed to like the 80% I was hitting before.
Yeah. Like, okay, so like I'll go very briefly and then we'll bring in some callers here because we've got a couple that are waiting. Appreciate your patience, guys. Real quick, my initial thoughts from the patch were like, I love the visual updates. Making changes to the map is great. Okay. Some of the visual stuff is really good. Some of the auditory stuff is a little wonky. Like
Assault rifle.
like the assault rifle sound, I think it's a bug. I want to say it's a bug because I used it today and it sounds, I used it today. Okay, for one, I used an assault rifle. But anyway, like it sounds different when you're using it versus whenever you hear someone using it. Because when you hear someone using it, it sounds like they're like banging a pan with a spoon or something. Like,
Yeah, well, I thought it sounds like like somebody's taking a bunch of pebbles and like put it in a washing machine. It's like, I don't know, it's really strange.
yeah, it's something's busted there. I don't know if that was intentional or not. The choo-choo train sound, apparently they brought that back, which it used to be a thing with Heroic Leap.
Oh, was it?
Apparently that's what somebody told me. I don't know if that's true or not. Do you know, Baggins?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
It used to make like a train noise.
Which is
I didn't know.
From the like a lot of the abilities and weapons are like in some sense like taken from paladins.
Oh.
And I don't know why, but there was like I think what they did with a lot of this patch and the most recent patches is they decided that they liked how things were in the past, so they've copy pasted some code over from older builds.
Yeah.
And some sounds and visuals and other like strange things, like you can now get like fire sniper rifle and frost axe again and frost stone spear. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but
Oh, you can. I heard people say that. I didn't know it was confirmed.
yeah, it's not intentional, but it's like I think it's like a little bit of a spaghetti code or like some residual code because they've borrowed bits from previous builds and then put it into the live version. So I don't know if the train thing is intended, but yeah, it's a little bit weird. When a warrior is like you're about to get. I mean, I guess it's pretty scary. Imagine a train is about to hit you, but
yeah. I definitely was like, what is that sound? Like I was hearing it and I'm like, Thomas the Train? Like what's going on here? You know? So
Thomas the Train coming in with an axe.
Coming to wreck your day. So I was like, is this like a Skyrim mod? What's going on here? You know? So
Hacker.
yeah. But anyway, that's my initial thoughts and then obviously bug fixes need to take place. Like I really hope that next patch they focus on this. I had a thought today is like, if you go to the League of Legends subreddit, not to keep on dropping League, but it's a very well established free-to-play game that has been developed well. They still have bugs, you know, every patch they introduce. So that should be expected. But the level of bugs that we've been seeing here in this game, really, I hope Hi-Rez focuses hard on that because it's ruining the game for a lot of players. Like, I would rather them polish their game this next patch than release new content. Like let's get the game in a good state where we can move forward with new content without having to rehash all these bugs. So whether they're like copy pasting stuff or what, like I'm not a developer. It's hard for me to like cast judgment, but like I do feel like it would be great if we could have like, you know, non-game breaking bugs when we tune in. Like it's one thing if it's like Withdraw, for example. They responded quickly. Thank you, Hi-Rez, for that. But like that's I don't see that as a huge bug. What I see as a huge bug is people can't even queue in the game. Like that's pretty bad. So I hope that they get some of that stuff fixed this next patch and focus on making the game more polished instead of like releasing a bunch of content, you know, and then release content. Once you get a good foundation, then release content, you know. So I don't know. That's just my opinion, but. Lee, let's bring in some callers. You got some callers in there?
Yeah, we have Gavin. He wanted to ask Baggins a question. I'll drag him in now.
Hello, guys.
Welcome, Gavin.
So I wanted to ask you guys about the state of runes right now. What do you think? Do you think they should bring armor back? Like, are they too OP? What do you think?
Baggins, you want to go?
Sure. I think I think runes were like designed in a previous version of the game, and they don't. Not all of them make too much sense right now. It's like they keep like every time I ask Drybear, it's like, are we gonna like you gonna do anything about armor potions and how they're so stupidly ridiculously hard to find? It's like, no, we like the fact that you have to be really conservative with your armor and you have to play it defensively. I'm like, well, why is there a rune that literally just regenerates armor every second? Then that's not conservative. There's nothing. Sometimes you RNG upon that rune and win the game.
Yeah.
And also in a world now where they have nerfed all these ability cooldowns, so the idea is that they're more impactful and less frequent. But when you get the 50% cooldown rune, it just changes everything because they become so much more frequent. But the problem is with the runes, it's like that would be great, like, and I wouldn't complain if there was a reliable way to get it. But sometimes you don't. Like sometimes you don't get the regen rune, and sometimes you don't get the cooldown runes, and it just feels like a completely different game. So I think you either need to... There's two choices. You can either like get rid of them or heavily modify them and then just like add in those stats into the characters. So just like if you just remove the cooldown runes and then make it so everybody has the cooldown rune on them, or like half of that, so maybe 25% reduced cooldowns. Or you could like add them into the skill tree somehow, so give it everybody an option to have armor regen. I don't know. Like I kind of like that idea, but maybe it would be yeah, it's tricky. I don't know, because I do like the runes. I like the idea that you can constantly keep building your character throughout the game, because right now it's like, well, you get your legendary weapon and you get your legendary ability and you're kind of done. But the runes, generally you don't have all your runes until like later on in the game. But they do like just really, they're just so random, and there's no reliable way to get stuff. So
Yeah.
Didn't the engineer used to have armor regen?
he did. If that just goes to show how stupid the engineer was.
Double procking your leap. Oh my god, I quit the game because of that. It was horrible. We just end the game would literally just be engineers double procking leap with plasma launchers. It was horrible.
Yeah. It's like, hey, let's take the most OP passive from the most OP class and let's make it into a rune. What could go wrong? What could go wrong here, guys? What could go wrong with that?
The beauty of the engineer was that it was the perfect camping class as well. Like, you had your barrier, you had a turret, you could just sit in a house and regen your armor.
Yeah.
And then like someone would push the house, you'd be like, bam, like what's up?
Like underpass was insane with engineer.
Yeah.
So if you could, like, if there was a talent, you know, how you can guarantee a first forge of a weapon, first forge of an ability, what would you guys choose if you could guarantee first forge of a rune? Would you just go for armor regen, or is this something more exotic you'd try?
I think that would be like the ultimate value. I think you get like, so, you know, like maybe there could be a case in a specific build where you would get, you know, value from like ability cooldown or movement cooldown. But I think if you're just looking for general value overall, armor to double your health versus any other fight you're going to encounter at all times, like I think that regen is by far the strongest thing you can get in the game right now. So,
and I think like anybody who's been playing the game for a decent amount of time would say the same. So that just goes to show that you can't really go down that route. So they do need to like make some adjustments. I don't know. Take them out and add them in passively or something. But
Yeah, agreed.
Well, thanks for your question, Gavin.
Yeah.
Appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah, no problem. Had fun. See you guys. Shout out to Arrow.
Catch you later.
All right. We got one more, right, Lee?
Yeah, let me check on this guy. Might be a troll, so I'm gonna check and make sure his mic's
all right,
working.
just make sure he's not like some imposter.
Hey Arrow, is your mic working, dude? I didn't want you to troll us.
Oh, me?
Yeah, man. I didn't know if I can trust you.
Sorry, I just heard like 3 of you because I had the stream still open. My bad. Okay. So
what's up, dude? What's your question, Arrow? TTV?
Are you new to the game?
Yeah, are you a new player?
Yeah. You know, I just got my PS4.
Why aren't Q's working?
I'm actually a pro PS4 player. I put it in my stream title. No. So my question is, what do you guys think about swapping Blink and Ghostwalk between Assassin and Maid? Now, my concern, the devil's advocate against this, from what I've heard, is that it now, that would make Assassin have no verticality, and it would give Mage 2 verticality abilities, or at least vertical potential. But as it stands now, Mage, at least in the competitive scene from what I've seen, especially in duos. Solos, it's manageable because there's only one person you need to target. There's one person you need to like micromanage, right? You can, if they're ice block, no one's gonna come behind you unless you get third partied, right? Um, but in the competitive scene, at least in duos and probably in squads too, but probably most in duos, whenever you have an ice block, like a mage that ice blocks in, you have to continue focus on that mage. The moment you turn the focus, you're going to be hit by like a 900 damage, ice staff, right? And if you go to the warrior, like I said, you're going to get hit. If you stick with the mage, the warrior's going to come behind and just wreck you with an axe or something. And that goes to show like the outplay potential. Okay, let me back up. Sorry, I'm rambling, but the issue stems from the fact that there are two invulns on one class. Being able to shoot whatever weapon you have, invuln, and then uninvuln at will, shoot another shot, and then invuln again, and then uninvuln again at will, and shoot another shot.
You're talking about Ice Block Ghost Walk, correct?
Correct. Ice
Okay.
Block Ghost.
Yes, yeah.
That needs to change. Just bottom line, from my competitive experience, and I came from Overwatch. I have a lot of experience in just certain high tier level games with abilities and things. That is just unacceptable. There's no way to actually outplay it. At the highest tier, it feels like you lose the fight unless the mage screws up, assuming it's a close range fight. And it should never feel like that. It should always feel like any party has a chance to win given their different varying skill levels or whatever.
Yeah.
So what would you guys think about trading those abilities?
What do you think, Baggins?
We need
I
Baggins'
think-
opinion.
I do agree. I think Mage is the strongest class right now. It's like if I'm playing solo versus squads, I go to Mage just because she's so unfair. But I think personally, I mean, you would have some like theme issues that you'd have to like change the name of the abilities or explain why it makes sense. But I think putting Ghost Walk on Assassin is fine because previously it was an Assassin ability and it is just kind of still Assassin-ish. But I think rather than give Blink, I think you take the other one, the ugly step, whatever you want to call it, hidden, and you put hidden on the mage.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
then, I don't know. You can call it like mage's, I don't know, mage's chameleon magic or something. But and then you still have verticality on both classes. And I think Blink is such an iconic assassin ability as well. I don't know. It's
true.
I mean, maybe I'm just like being nostalgic about it or whatever, but I think assassin losing Blink would make me sad.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think you could put hidden on mage, and then it would be okay because you could like ice block, and then as soon as you come out the ice block, you could hidden. But obviously, for a competitive player, they'd be able to realize what happened there a lot faster. But you could still pull some kind of shenanigans out, but not as ridiculous as you could with ice block, shoot, ghost walk. So
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like there's also a little bit of like, so Monty and I playing WoW, we do associate mages with the ability to blink in some sense, but invisibility is also the other part of that in WoW. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys.
You can kind of like, it didn't make any justification really. It's like, oh, it's magic, so she could do this.
Accurate.
Yeah. I mean, you guys answered it. I think you guys nailed it on the head. I still think hidden's kind of bad. Like, I think if you're going to take it off of assassin, just remove it from the game entirely, in my opinion. Like, I think it's viable for now on assassin because you can ADS. Like it seems like it's better for sure. But if you're going to take Ghost Walk from Mage and give it to Assassin, then I would prefer to see a Ghost Walk Blink Assassin and then give Mage a new ability, whatever that might be. I don't know.
Thrust.
A what?
Thrust.
Thrust?
Oh no,
You can pick
dude.
Soar or Mini Soar.
See,
Yeah.
I kind of always wished that Ice Block. Now, this is bad because this is another CC, and we saw this with Netshot. But initially, before the Netshot debacle with Entrapment, I always thought it would be cool if Ice Block was an ability you casted on somebody else, not something you would cast on yourself.
Like freeze them in space or in right in their tracks.
Yeah. Now, obviously, having Entrapment be real I don't think I would go that way again, but I think that they could get creative with those two abilities to redesign them in a way that would be viable that does not include two invulnerabilities. So there's multiple options they could take, and I do agree that you need a verticality on Assassin at least once. So I'd prefer to see a Ghost Walk Blink combo on Assassin and then them introduce a new ability to Mage personally. So
Well, to be another devil's advocate, though, Hunter is arguably the closest thing to an assassin in a lot of ways, since they're both, they have close range options, but they thrive in the long range fights as well. And Hunter has no vertical mobility.
yeah, it's true.
So you can argue that at that place, if that's your play style, like I would never get rid of Blink. I feel like so many assassin players would just riot. But you can make the argument though that if you have to work with what you already have, then swapping the two wouldn't necessarily be a game breaker.
Yeah.
In the sense that you don't need a vertical mobility, even though I think that being able to blink through a window is one of the beauties of playing an assassin.
Yeah. Cool.
Right. So two things. So the more I think about it, the more I think the other way around is better. Keeping Blink on Assassin as sort of an iconic ability for the Assassin's probably prudent. I think you could give Hidden to Mage. I like that, and I also like a new ability, but that's a lot of work to make an entirely new ability and make sure it's not buggy and stuff. So for the meantime, if they wanted to just slap Hidden on Mage, I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
And then maybe introduce a new ability later on. But so that's the first thing. The second thing was with oh shoot, I think I forgot. Rip. Well, it was. I'll let you guys know if I remember. But
All right, dude.
yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Well, thanks for
Thanks,
calling in,
Romero.
man. We'll have to have you back sometime to ask more questions or to talk about Hunter or to talk about your PS4 playing experience.
Yeah, keep chasing that PS12 Pro dream, Arrow.
I'll make it one day, Baggins. I'll make it one day.
Thanks for the call, man.
Thanks,
Yeah, I
Arrow.
appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, we got time for one more quick call, and then we're going to let Baggins go because the hobbits need sleep, and it's very
Yeah,
late
hobbits
where
need
he
sleep,
is.
man.
I really appreciate you staying up late to hang out with us, Baggins. It's just such a pleasure to have you on the show. So,
Go right out there for some reason.
yeah, you got time for second breakfast before bedtime. So,
Exactly. There we go. Here's Guac.
Okay.
Holy Guac.
Are you there?
Hey, you guys.
Hello, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, good to be here.
Another pro PlayStation player here. Holy Guac.
PS4 Pros.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with it. With regards to development, and I think this is specifically geared to Baggins. With regards to development, do you think they will or should continue to introduce new weapons and abilities, or do you think they should find a balanced place to settle and then just push forward content such as events, skins, badges, things like that? And then if you think that they should continue to introduce new guns and things like that, do you think they are at least considering new ways to introduce content, avoiding bugs? Because it seems like that's a huge issue. For me, anyways.
It's a good question.
I think with weapons and abilities, you have to be really careful with like what you do specific to the class stuff, because it's like the classes, they have their set weapons and abilities, and like I wouldn't want to see each class go up to like having like 6 different class weapons and 6 different abilities. I think you could maybe add one extra ability and an extra weapon to each class, but at that point it would like then it would get too messy after that. But certainly I could see like a similar sort of like maybe what they do with Fortnite, where you like bring in none. So like with the LMG we've just seen, and the burst rifle and the assault rifle, and I think they're probably going to keep doing that, is bringing in non-class specific weapons and hopefully abilities as well. I don't know, we haven't had a whole lot of love for abilities recently. It's kind of like sometimes I feel like they forgot that it was supposed to be an ability based battle royale.
Yeah.
But yeah, like bringing in so stuff like the shielding flask, the healing flask, the barricade, firebomb, but adding to that along with weapons as well. And maybe at some point, because I think there is a point where you just have too much stuff in the game, you have to vault some other stuff. So maybe you could take barricade out because it's kind of like a little bit too crazy. It's just a really, really, really good ability. But it's hard. It's really strange though, because it's like the problem with abilities and weapons is like you want to be looking for your class specific weapons and your class specific abilities because they synergize with your talent build. So you can make an exception with a weapon because you can hold 2 weapons, but with abilities, it's like you need to have that class ability. You can't really take a firebomb. Like there's plenty of times where I see a legendary firebomb, but it's like, well, I've got 50% reduced cooldown with my class abilities though, so I can't really. Yeah. But I do think they will probably keep going down the method of adding non-class specific stuff. I think at some point you will have to vault it. And knowing Hi-Rez, they will keep adding new content, and it probably is still going to be buggy. I hope that they can, like, between releasing new content though, they can do a cleanup patch. So next patch, will be primarily focused on polish and bug fixes before they go ahead. Because if you keep adding patch after patch on top of like shaky foundations, eventually everything will just crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, I mean, ideally, they introduced a patch that has no bugs in it at all. But that's, I mean, game dev just is a beast that's almost impossible to do, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I do want to see new weapons. I do want to see new abilities. I think I don't really know how else you can keep Realm fresh outside of that. I mean, you can make changes to the map, but
Right.
I mean, what do you guys think? What, like, in terms of stuff like that? Like, do you want new weapons and abilities, or like, how does Realm? What excites you guys in terms of like new Realm content?
I just want to piggyback off of you real quick, just because you actually touched on almost everything that I would think about, which is I think they could split the dev cycle into possible game breaking changes, not game breaking, but bug changes, which would be like actual ability, new abilities, new guns, all those types of things, and maybe have that release schedule be more, have a bigger gap in between so that they can really nail it. And then have the content centered stuff. I mean, if they even just did smaller content updates, but they did them more frequently, just little stuff here and there. Like one of the cool things was I saw those carnival tents and I got excited. So me personally, I like the actual like background of it. Even just the small changes that add a little bit, like if they were to theme it during Christmas or our Halloween or stuff like that, not even just skins and things like that, but even the map itself, like having some decorations around Lumberforge or something. Those types of little things could be easy, painless, not necessarily bug related stuff, on top of real content like skins and stuff like that. They could do that more frequently and then have the other stuff be longer times in between so that they nail it. And then eventually, if we can stop thinking that we're going to have something to complain about every patch, I feel like it'll increase our confidence and our overall enjoyment.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Like
Guac.
No, I mean, I really am torn. I mean, I really like what Baggins said about introducing new guns and things, and I hadn't even thought about the vaulting, but to be transparent and no means to be negative, but it's like it's kind of like when they released this patch, I didn't even play for a couple of days because of the withdrawal,
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's imperative to avoid that kind of stuff. But maybe it is impossible. I don't know. There's, like I said, I'm torn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's like there's a line where it's like you can expect some bugs to make it in, but it's some stuff is like it's acceptable. It's like if there's a bug where God, I don't know, like if you drink a potion, sometimes it doesn't fully drink it or whatever, or that the slug rifle's texture is slightly different. It's like that's okay, but
Yeah.
when you like can't invite your friends to play with you or whatever, or somebody is like permanently invisible, or that slug rifle is dealing like 1,000 extra damage per shot, stuff like that you can't really have in the game. So it's just catching those big bugs, the big scary ones that can kill you, rather and just having a few little mosquitoes get in that aren't like carrying anything deadly. That's okay, but
Yeah. And to be fair, so like I talked about League of Legends earlier, if you read through their bug, they have a bug subreddit, mega thread, that they post for each patch in Reddit, which is really interesting. And I think that if Hi-Rez really wanted to approach bugs, they need to find a better way to report them. Like you can report stuff in game. Like I'm not sure how specific and how viable it is. I know they have like a huge bug mega thread in their Discord channel, but it's just like tons of just stuff. Like I don't know if it's organized enough to really be successful for them, unless I'm ignorant of some other resource. But
Well, sorry to interrupt you.
no, that's okay.
I just like, is there something they can do to incentivize the PTS? Like I see
Yeah.
Dragons and Thor they have so many viewers. Like, I wonder if there's a way that they could incorporate the Realm Royale stream into
Ooh.
trying to get more players on the PTS. And maybe that's even Baggins is probably like, listen, shut up, bro. You know.
No,
I
do
joined
have-
a
Me and
PTS
Philip make a push all the time to try and encourage them to give us like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Crowns or
encourage people to come and watch the stream.
yeah.
So we can do giveaways. So like, but I mean, it's an uphill battle to fight for that sort of stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
They did once upon a time back when the game was like after June, July, around that time, they were giving people jailbird chicken skins to if they played on the PTS. It's like if you play on the PTS between this date and this date, you'll be entered into a sweepstakes for a jailbird chicken skin. So they could maybe go back to something like that.
Yeah.
The problem is that you can't, like, the platform that was hit the hardest with bugs, in my opinion, is the PS4, and there's no PTS for that because you can't. It's the test server is only for PC, and it's a separate server
Yeah.
client, so it's tricky. Like, how you can't get the bugs fixed to every platform.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, good point. Really, that's something I didn't know. I didn't even think about the fact that console players, or I guess PS4 specifically, is it, or is it Xbox as well?
I mean, Xbox is on the same servers as PC, but I don't know the full. Like, I still think there are some bugs on Xbox. I know MZ in the chat is saying that there's some issues. She's a Xbox player, so.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Doc.
See you guys.
Yeah. I'm just going to finish up my thought here real quick because I was talking about this mega subreddit bug thread for each patch, which the way that they structured it was really good because it was like, this is the platform you're on. Here's a screenshot or a video of the bug. Here's what occurred when you had it. You know, here's what like system you're on, your hardware, that kind of stuff. It was very well organized, which I feel like Hi-Rez could benefit from that versus people just submitting like, I just think they need more structure. Like, it seems like having just a channel in Discord, you know, isn't necessarily super beneficial. And then there's also like reporting. You can report bugs in game, or you can report cheating in game and things like that. And maybe that's a little bit more specific. I actually haven't looked into that option, but I think just having like doing something that shows proactivity to the community that we're actually addressing these bugs might be beneficial because it just would be like, hey, if you have structure to it, people will report it. And then all of a sudden the Realm Royale subreddit doesn't just become, your game's bugged, fix it, this is stupid, like, you know, like this toxicity appearing, you know, like, so I wish they would add a little bit more structure to that. I think that could be beneficial to them. So, but anyway, well, that's our last question for tonight. You know, I appreciate Baggins, you spending time with us. And to end on a positive note, I think Hi-Rez has done a great job in 2019 to listen to the community, to address things that are going well. They have been responding quickly to bugs, which is good, like game-breaking bugs like withdraw. You know, there still are bugs that are going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, it happens in all games, you know, so it is going to happen, but responding to the ones that are, like, really breaking the experience for people. So I hope that within these next couple patches, we continue to see more polish and that the game continues to grow. I'm encouraged by 2019. I'm encouraged that we hit 10K players on PC this last weekend, even with the release of Apex, which is huge. Like, I mean, potentially that number could have been like 15K if Apex wasn't released until later. Maybe, I don't know, but like that really encouraged me. So I was excited for that. So yeah, do you guys have any closing thoughts that you guys want to give before we wrap it up?
No, I'm just excited to see what's in the next patch and Realm going forward. Also, I think once they can fix some of the issues that the consoles are having, they could probably re-announce the tournaments again, which is going to be a pretty exciting thing for a lot of people. So I'm excited to see Realm tournaments in 2019 because the 2018 ones were pretty awesome. Yeah,
that'll be great. And I think that will encourage a lot of those players that are playing Apex right now to come back. I don't know. I think that the monetized value of it always brings players back. Like, if they can make money playing a video game, they're going to come back for sure. So that'll be good.
Money.
Yeah. So, All right, Baggins. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Do you want to plug your YouTube? Lee, do you want to link that in chat for him? Go follow Baggins on YouTube. Give him a sub. You stream on your own channel, Baggins, twitch.tv/Baggins_TV. Anywhere else we can find you? Twitter?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Baggins TV. No, I don't think there's anything else that I really want to plug, though. It's all good.
All right. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate your time. It's really good to meet you. So I look forward to a lot of your content here in the future, and just appreciate what you bring to the community, man. So thanks so much.
Hey, it was fun being here.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll catch you on another episode another time when it's not super late. Maybe we'll do like a Saturday afternoon episode and try and get you plugged in or something. So I appreciate you staying up late with us. So
yeah, it's fun to be on the Realm Roundtable.
All right,
Oof.
man.
That's a clip and a half right there.
Yeah.
All right, catch you later, guys.
All right.
See you later. Chat.
See ya.
Thank you.